This video is sponsored by Busu. Disneyland is known as the most magical place on Earth, and that's no accident. There's a tremendous amount of thought, effort and planning that has gone into its design and continued operation. Every element of the park has been meticulously crafted and managed, with a quite frankly incredible attention to detail. And I like to think of it as a sort of open world video game map. You're dropped inside this entirely fictitious and curated world. And if the rides and attractions are the main story missions, I prefer to spend my time wandering around discovering all the hidden Easter eggs, bonus missions and collectibles. I mean, there is a literal Disney open world video game, but that's not what I'm talking about. So in this video, I'm going to take a closer look at some of those magical secrets. If you enjoy it, please consider subscribing. Let's start with something unique to Disneyland Paris specifically. Now, you've probably heard of hidden Mickeys. Subtle Mickey Mouse shaped objects, patterns or designs intentionally hidden around the parks. Some are more obvious than others, such as fence posts, high chairs, and even a giant water tower, officially known as the Earful Tower, while some are a lot more, well, hidden. My personal favourite is this one as you ascend the lift hill on Big Thunder Mountain. Wait for it, there. But have you heard of hidden Remys? Remy is a lovable protagonist from Ratatouille, upon which La Place de Remy at Walt Disney Studios is based. This land is so well crafted, with cobbled streets, Parisian-style buildings, and even Chez Remy, a restaurant based upon the one at the end of the movie. And the ride itself is stunning, a 4D dark ride adventure where you're shrunk down to the size of a rat. So just like hidden Mickeys, there are a number of hidden Remys, on everything from fence panels and manhole covers, a nod to the film sewer scene, to this wonderfully elaborate fountain. But the rat around the middle section is more than it might seem at first glance. These Remys actually form an animation, like cells of a zoetrope. My mind is officially blown. They incorporated an animation into a stone fountain. That's the level of detail we're talking about here. Aside from the Ratatouille themed area, there are many other references to French culture scattered throughout the parks, most notably on the castle. Those gold ornaments that adorn the turrets, well, take a closer look. They're actually snails, an allusion to the infamous French delicacy. Now before we delve any deeper, it's time for a quick word about this video's sponsor, Busu, an AI-powered language learning app that can help you fit in France too, plus a ton of other places. With over 100 million users, Busu enables you to connect with native speakers to let you try out the skills you've learned and learn from their feedback. The study plan is tailored to me individually to help me learn the things I'd find the most useful first, as someone who's just looking for casual skills to help me whilst travelling. And it includes these super useful exercises where it asks me to write or record myself talking about a topic I've recently learnt, for a native French speaker to then review. A few minutes later and I've got some feedback. So I got it almost correct, just missed a little accent on the A. And then once I reach a certain level, I can even obtain officially recognised certification through McGraw-Hill. Sign up for free using the link in the description or upgrade to Busu Premium to unlock all the wonderful features. Mais maintenant, il est temps pour Disneyland. Let's jump back in on Main Street, USA. Main Street is based upon Walt Disney's hometown of Marceline, Missouri, with its ornate and colourful shopfronts. It even features a restaurant named after him, a shop named after his wife, as well as a real working barbershop in honour of his father's profession. Guests and staff alike can get their haircut or beards trimmed here, and all the furniture was acquired from a retiring barber in Chicago, so is real and authentic. But what I really want to talk about on Main Street are the fictional shops and windows, and their hidden sounds. You see, Disneyland has paid a huge amount of attention to the soundscape of the park, including many hidden and hard to find sort of auditory Easter eggs. The first sound can be heard almost as soon as you enter the park on the right, at the dental practice. This one in particular was pretty drowned out by the music, but you can hear the dentist assuring his patient it isn't going to hurt, followed by a dental drill and screaming. Next there's the piano lessons. A child can be heard badly practicing their scales. Right across from the piano lesson is a detective's office. You'll hear the detective's dog barking. Across the street again is the dance studio, where you can hear the instructor and students tap dancing. And finally, at the end of Main Street, above Victoria's restaurant in the Mock Hotel, guests can be heard whistling as they get ready for their day. But I didn't manage to hear this one. My personal favourite hidden sounds though take on the form of some olden style telephones hidden in the shops that allow you to eavesdrop on some rather eccentric conversations. The first can be found in New Century Notions, the very first shop on the right at the start of Main Street, and another two can be found inside Market House Delicatessen. The various conversations you can hear include a lady flirting with the police chief.
I certainly chose not. I do not, gentlemen, engage in gossip.
And another whose barn is on fire.
I need the fire chief, my barn is burning down.
I spotted a fourth telephone inside the barber's, but unfortunately it was closed so I couldn't go inside and listen. Next there's the graveyard beside Phantom Manor, which features a large marble tomb, and occasionally you can hear a heart beating from inside. Spooky. On the second floor of the castle, in the Sleeping Beauty walkthrough attraction, you can hear snoring coming from each of the sleeping guards. And finally, there's a well in Frontierland where you can apparently hear the pickaxes of the miners below, but I didn't manage to hear this one unfortunately. Frontierland was wonderfully decorated for Halloween, themed in the style of my all-time favourite Disney film, Coco. There was literally nothing Coco in the gift shops, or on any of the rides, parade floats or characters, so I was absolutely delighted to see this theming. There were the beautiful Papel Picado, the Mexican coloured tissue art from the movie's opening sequence, about 50 skeleton characters scattered around, and best of all, a giant Alebrijedonte in fantastical colours. Honestly, it made me so happy seeing all this stuff. But forgive the tangent, sounds aren't the only hidden thing. Disneyland is well known for using hidden smells to enhance your experience. In the 1990s, Disney Imagineers went so far as to invent a device they called the Smellitzer, or Smell Blitzer, that pumps out specific scents. In the American Disney parks, these can be found as small circular vents on some of the buildings on Main Street, such as the bakers and various concession stands. The idea is to create a homely and welcoming environment, with the added bonus of making you want to buy their expensive food. I couldn't find any of these in Paris, however, but there were still hidden smells in other locations, including on the rides. The most obvious was on the Ratatouille ride from earlier, where you can smell a variety of cooking aromas as you're chased through the kitchen of Gusteau's. The most noticeable of these smells is of the oranges, as you pass by a giant crate of them in the oversized storeroom. Pirates of the Caribbean is rumoured to have Smellitzers too, pumping out the smell of sea air. This is fairly disputed, however. Yes, the ride does have a rather distinctive and nostalgic smell, but is often attributed to a mixture of the dry ice used for the smoke machines and the chemicals they use to clean the water, namely bromine. Captain Jack's restaurant also overlooks the ride, so that may contribute to the scent too. As a side note, I remember coming here as a kid and being utterly captivated seeing the restaurant in the ride itself. So this time as a grown-up, I finally got to tick that box and eat there. It was a wonderful experience, the food was great and the atmosphere was incredible, watching the boats pass through the dark and stormy mangroves. The Disneyland Hotel at the entrance to the park uses Smellitzers too, to pump its trademark vanilla incense smell around the lobby and hallways. You can even buy bottles of this scent in the hotel shop to use around your own home, but it will set you back a whopping €60. Now we've already looked at hidden sounds and smells, as well as hidden Mickeys and Remys, but several rides feature a whole host of hidden characters. For instance, It's a Small World famously takes you on a boat ride through the countries and cultures of the world, but a recent renovation saw a number of familiar faces added along the way. These include Slinky Dog from Toy Story, Aladdin and Jasmine on flying carpets, the hyenas and other animals from Lion King, Ariel from The Little Mermaid, Peter Pan and Wendy, and even Stitch. And it's not just It's a Small World. Star Tours, the Star Wars themed simulator ride, features a load of character Easter eggs in its wonderful queue, probably my favourite queue in the whole of Disneyland. Towards the end of it, there's a droid scanning passengers' luggage and doing a rather bad job of it. But in some of the suitcases can be seen the lamp from Aladdin, a Buzz Lightyear toy, an Incredibles suit, Chip and Dale, a Goofy hat, a Goofy teddy, a pair of Mickey Mouse gloves, and a pair of Mickey ears with the name Luke sewn onto them. I also remember seeing the aliens from Toy Story in one suitcase, although don't seem to have filmed it. The final hidden characters I want to mention can be found in Adventureland. At the edge of the lake you can find Russell and Mr. Fredricksen from Up, and to be honest they're not really hidden at all. But much harder to see and only visible from a very specific spot can be seen an enormous nest and eggs on the roof of the Adventureland entrance buildings, said to belong to Kevin, the giant bird from Up. How cool is that? Now let's take a break from talking about things that are hard to find and move on to things that aren't supposed to be found at all. If you're a hardcore Disney fan then you probably know what I'm talking about. Go Away Green. Disney literally invented their own colour, known as Go Away Green, an uninviting shade of green carefully designed to be as unremarkable as possible. Its purpose? To avert your attention away from anything they don't want you to see, stuff that would otherwise ruin the magic. This could be anything from staff doors and speakers, to mysterious buildings and lighting posts. And talking of colours, a lot of thought went into the colour of the castle too. Disneyland Paris's castle is unique in many ways. Whilst the American castles were built in European style, Europe is obviously full of castles, and so the Imagineers went for a more fantastical, fairy tale-like design. It's Sleeping Beauty's castle and retains many of the elements from the film, including the delightfully square trees. But let's get back to colour. The castle is quite beautifully bright pink. The reason? Well, in Florida and California it's mostly blue skies, complementing their grey castles nicely. But here in rainy old France, the pink is intended to stand out against the often overcast skies. And like all Disney castles, it's south-facing, ensuring perfect lighting for everyone's selfies. But although the castle is pink, it's not all the same shade of pink. The colour actually gets slightly lighter the taller it goes, to create the illusion of height and make the castle appear larger than it really is. A trick known as forced perspective. And the Imagineers are evidently big fans of this illusion because it's everywhere. A very simple example for demonstration purposes is Toontown in Walt Disney Studios. The floor gives way to a background that physically gets smaller and narrower and is built at an angle to make it look like a much longer street than it really is, when it's only in fact a metre or two deep. It can be seen on a much larger scale on Hollywood Boulevard at the centre of the park. Once again, the buildings physically get shorter and narrower to give the illusion of length, and they also use gradually darkening colours to enhance the effect. It's even used on Main Street and in the Ratatouille area, where the size of the bricks, windows and levels get smaller as they go, to make them appear taller. Now I'm aware how long this video's getting, so I'm going to make this the last one, and it's something a little different: pin trading. Many of you will know all about this weird and wonderful part of the Disney experience, but allow me to explain. These small pin badges are sold in pretty much every shop in every Disney park across the world, portraying different characters, objects or rides. They vary in price according to how elaborate or rare they are, and they're tradable with cast members, who often wear lanyards full of them. Now some people get really into this and have literally hundreds of pins, and to be honest it is pretty addictive, but each pin costs upwards of €7, so it gets expensive fast. Well, here's a trick to help out, one which I myself learned from the wonderful YouTube channel See You in Main Street, which you should definitely check out if this video leaves you hungry for more. Very occasionally you can find reduced price pins in the clearance section of certain shops. I struck gold and found 6 duplicate pins for €2 each, in the first shop as you enter Walt Disney Studios. Naturally I bought all 6, and Danielle and I had a very fun afternoon trading our way up the ranks. I ended up with Figaro from Pinocchio, who reminds me of Ralph, Woody from Toy Story, played by Tom Hanks, Hank from Finding Dory, Remy from Ratatouille, Jack from The Nightmare Before Christmas, Phantom Manor, my favourite ride, and then best of all, I was even lucky enough to find some cast members with Coco pins to trade with. Like I said, there was no Coco merchandise whatsoever on sale, including pins, so I couldn't believe my luck when I found these two. Danielle managed to get the Ratatouille ride pin, this beautiful up design, Eeyore, Pluto, Flounder, Jasmine, Marie, Stitch, and this wonderful 2019 Disneyland Paris pin. As you can see, we sort of got carried away and had to buy more than just the initial 6, but it was a lot of fun and we managed to get loads of our favourite characters. And that's just about it. Disneyland is such a magical and detailed place, and I'm sure this video has barely scratched the surface, so please let me know in the comments any secrets I might have missed, especially if you know of any more hidden sounds, which I found particularly fascinating. Remember to download Busu. It's free, although does offer premium membership, and will have you speaking a foreign language in no time at all.